Hey everybody, welcome to Face the Music. Look, today's not going to be a reaction to a music video as usual or to a song or whatever. I'm just going to kind of talk just for a few minutes, if I can, about this whole crazy conversation about Randy Travis's new song, where that came from. And of course, the conversation is generated because the song isn't really Randy's voice. It's AI generated. For those of you who don't, know or you're not very familiar, so going back to my very last episode that I put on this channel, I actually featured that song on here. And you heard, if you saw that episode, if not, you can check down below. It's my very most recent episode. But if you saw that episode, you saw and heard my take on it, which is I'm fine with it. I thought the song was absolutely tremendous. I love being able to hear Randy's voice again. And a lot of it has to do, of course, with the fact that, as I mentioned then, I've been following Randy Travis for years and years and years, going all the way back to 1986 when he came out with Storms of Life, his very first album. Great stuff on there, and then going on to Old 8x10, and then all the other albums and hit songs and so forth that he's produced over the years has just been absolutely fantastic. And so it's great, of course, that in 2013 he had a stroke which left him unable to sing. And so this is really, right now, this whole process of this AI-generated song is really his way of being able to, give us back his voice, at least in some fashion, right? But, of course, there's a lot of conversation that goes on with this, and, a lot of people are against it. AI-generated, a lot of people say, hey, AI-generated isn't really Randy. A lot of people are saying, well, hey, just like my opinion is, I love Randy, and I love being able to, hear him again, even if it's in this format. At least we still get this guy again out there on the radio and get, to hear his voice, even though it may not necessarily be technically his voice, but we get to hear, him, one more time again, whatever. And I want to pull up, and, this is not to call out anybody by any means, but someone had put a comment on my last episode, and I wanted to, mention this because this person is not wrong. Okay, I want to clarify that, and I'm not going to call this person out, but they basically made the point that this is not Randy Travis when they say we talk about this song. They say this, in my opinion, is a very slippery slope in music. That can be true. I'm not going to disagree to this point. They do appreciate the fact that I actually mentioned James Dupree, who was actually the country singer who, if you've seen the video, you saw him, but he actually was the one who provided the vocals, for the song, and then the producers were able to take, Randy. I saw online that they took 30 to 40 or so, at least, songs of Randy Travis's from back in the day, the previous songs, and were able to extract his voice from those songs, take out all the, the music, just extract his voice, and then somehow through the AI process, I don't really know how it works, to be honest, but they were able to generate it so the sound in his voice, his nuances, his inflections, and so forth, the way he sings was able to be duplicated on this song to the point where it sounds just like Randy Travis's voice. So again, this person who made the comment, totally understand exactly where you're coming from. I'm not going to disagree with anybody, vehemently, I guess I could say, about their viewpoints on this. A lot of people are for it, a lot of people are against it. The reason that I am not against it, and I'll just tell you why, and I think these are things that we ought to consider, because for one thing, we've got to consider that every advancement in technology in our life has created positives, but it's also created negatives, okay? Think about social media, for example. I mean, back a number of years ago, we didn't have social media. So now we have the ability with social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these different social media platforms to connect, instantly from one side of the globe to the other, in real time even, communicating with other people that we didn't have that opportunity to before. So it's been a very positive, factor in life. But it also, and I think we can all understand that, social media can also have very negative impacts as well. So there's always that balance. There's always that trade-off, right? But once you get the technological ball rolling, you can't stop it, okay? I mean, I think we have to acknowledge that. So, for example, the invention of flight, okay? The invention of the airplane, the creation of the airplane. So, now, instead of going from New York to California in a number of days by driving, or even before you talk about even cars, being invented, but just say, cars were there, it would take you days to get. Now it take you, 4 or 5 hours, flight time to get from one side of the United States to the other. And then you talk about globally, internationally, all that, and now, you've got it even better. So you think about those kind of things and you say, okay, yes, there's positives. there's also negatives, because without flight, we wouldn't have had, when you think about all the airplane incidents and mishaps that's happened over the, the last, 50, 60, 70, however many years you want to go back, all those lives lost because of, but think about all the enhancements to travel that's created. So you've always got the positive, you've always got the negative. And I'm not trying to compare, airplane mishaps necessarily, one for one, apples to apples with, AI. But I'm just saying, my point is, and I think you guys get it, is that there's always the positives, there's always the negatives, there's always the upside, there's always going to be a downside. When AI came around, I think we all have to admit that we all could see that this was a potent force that can be used for good. It can also be used for bad. Now, in this case, I'm going to say this is what, my point is with this, that Randy Travis himself was involved in the creation of this song, the whole entire process. This wasn't someone, out there saying, I'm going to profit off of Randy's voice, so I'm going to go do this and that. I'm going to take, an AI, program, and I'm going to recreate his voice, release a song. I'm going to make money off of it. I'm going to profit off of it, and it's not going to be anything to do with him. This is Randy's process himself, fully with his producers. If Randy Travis is in favor of it, if he approves it, if he's part of the process and he wants to push forward with it, and that's his thing, this is what he wants to do, who am I, who are you, who are we, really, to go against it? I mean, why are we arguing with the guy who this process belongs to him, really, when it comes to his say with his music, with what happens with his voice, and with, any recreation of his voice, I should say, with this process. So, again, and the person who commented in the comment, they said, well, what are we going to have next? More Elvis, more Janis Joplin? Hey, I get it, and that's fully, point noted. But again, if those who are, of course, now those artists, of course, have passed away. But if you say, okay, those are responsible for the estate, or those who have the ability to say yes, and it's made known to the public that, hey, we are in charge of their estate, and we're going to do this with AI to recreate this voice so that we have now this new music. I get it, and that's going to happen. Okay, I don't see that not happening. That probably will happen down the road if it hasn't already happened, right? But I think that's totally a different process than someone taking it and trying to profit on their own without any kind of permission or any kind of acknowledgement that this is what the process is, and they're just trying to pass it off as like, oh, we just found this song in a vault somewhere or whatever, and it's really not the artist. So again, I get 100% where everyone's coming from in terms of, there's those that don't like this whole AI generated thing, and with this song specifically, with Randy's song, and those who are in favor of it because, like me, a lot of people are Randy Travis fans, have followed him for years, and this is just one cool way to be able to, in some, I don't even know how to say it, but maybe some weird way, but able to, but in some cool way, really, to enjoy his voice again. And just when I see the video that goes with the song, and I see how much, input that he had as far as his involvement with it, he's enjoying this. This is his thing. Who am I to say, hey, this isn't cool? Again, we all realize and recognize that with advancements in technology, these things are going to be coming up. And when AI, became such a big topic in the last, few months to a year or so, we all have to recognize, well, I'm sure we all did recognize that, hey, this is not going to be a good thing in some form or fashion. In this case, I think it's a good thing. Now, I know a lot of you may agree, and that's great. A lot of you may disagree, and that's great too. If you disagree, feel free to put your comments down below. I don't think I'm going to change my mind on this one, but I always welcome differing opinions and differing thoughts. And again, I just wanted to put something out there because, as I said, I had done this video, I had done this episode in reaction to it, and again, I recognize fully it is what it is. I recognize the song for what it is, and I recognize where it came from, but I also recognize the involvement that Randy had with it and his blessing, really, with it. And so I'm fine with it. If he's fine with it, I'm fine with it, and that's where I think it has to be. I think it's where it has to stay. Okay? Anyways, that's my 2 cents. We'll see what you guys have to say. If you're not a subscriber, feel free to subscribe. Check out all my previous videos, and I hope to see you back here again on this channel, Face the Music. Take care.